Shelley Katz. I run Heart of Palms Ranch and Eco Farm. Our goal here is to grow as much food and as much biomass in as little space as possible. And then I've worked on like permaculture farms in Hawaii. This is a work in progress. I decided to extend this bed. This is the most recent bed I've done, and it's like just way more uniform looking, which is what I'm going for. Yeah, it's a fun place to work. It's a fun project. So now we've introduced cows into the system, and for the most part, if there's plenty of grass, they aren't going into the beds really, because the grass is their favorite thing. It's nice because I'm new to cattle, and it's nice for me to learn with a smaller cow. Yeah, so when you guys were last here, I had actually put in the beds a different orientation. I had long beds going this way, and these mulberries were in those original beds that were going this way, and instead put all these north-south beds in. Okay. And it like 10x'd our growing space. Yeah, it's been really cool to see what 2 versus all of these can grow. So the way Mike has taught me to grow is planting these pioneer species, direct seeding them in the center line of the tree row, where you're gonna have your red custard apple, you're gonna have your sugar apple, all your fancy, nice, rare fruits, and whatever your crop is gonna be, that will also come. But ideally, the first thing to do is like your bananas, castor, okra, yucca, jack bean, pigeon pea, like all these things that just take off and they don't have high nutrient requirements to really grow vigorously. And so now we have all these living roots that are pumping exudates into the soil, and they're feeding soil biology, and they're creating shade, and they're producing biomass that can be cut, can be dropped, falls on the ground. In the dry season, all this biomass is collecting moisture from the air and dripping water down onto the soil. So we're just kind of like getting that engine going by putting these pioneer species in the center line. Here's the jackfruit, and we seed really densely. Just put a lot of seeds in with the idea that some of these seeds won't be as vigorous, and we'll just thin them out. And then we also have hedges. Some of these haven't totally taken off yet, but this is a clumping grass hedge. And so this hedge can feed the cows. They love this grass. And the Tithonia is another hedge. So we have like 2 layers of hedges here. And it helps a lot with the trench, because when you build your berm high, you're left with this gap. And, you know, it's hard to find wood chips now, and you have to fill this gap in. And so we don't fully fill it in, because it does take a lot of material and a lot of labor to fill it in. We fill it in as best we can, but then we have these hedges growing, and pretty soon we're cutting them, dropping them, cutting them, dropping them, and it doesn't take long for this to get pretty full. We have this trench that needs to eventually rise up about 6 inches or so, but I'm just it's filling in with Tithonia right here. It's just going down, and pretty soon we'll have just a big pile of compost essentially that holds moisture right next to the tree line. Because like that thing I was talking about with my concern about this bed drying out because it's high, the way I envision this next dry season is this will be up to here with mulch that we grew right here. And last dry season we didn't have that. It was here, so like this is gonna dry out faster, and these plants are gonna struggle more because there's all this empty space and lack of access to moisture, you know, for shallow roots that need to come out here for moisture, they can't. But next dry season they'll be able to. The other plan with this area is to alley crop with yucca. Moringa is another one of these pioneer species. Moringa, cranberry hibiscus, pigeon pea, jack bean, and working on filling in this Tithonia hedge. Nopales, prickly pear is another pioneer, especially if you're planting during the dry season. This grows really fast in the dry season. Mike just put in another hedge of clumping grass. So we have a lot of layers. But I was thinking earlier, what I think is really cool is that we don't really have a lot of weed pressure because of the way we do this. We have this hedge of lemongrass that's shading, and it's just not coming over. I guess it senses, oh, there's shade over there. There's that variegated papaya. There's some fruits on it that are also variegated. I just can't imagine growing without organic matter. Before I grew here, I grew in like clay and loam and soils that had high CEC, so that that CEC was keeping the nutrients in the soil profile. Here, like sandy soil has very low CEC, and so organic matter, humic substances, that fills that need. And I don't even want to attempt without a lot of organic matter. And a lot of I know I'm doing my best to build soil biology so that it's a sustainable system. But I think it looks more overwhelming than it is.
Okay.
So the way I thought of removing irrigation is that if I do a good enough job at building all this organic matter and dropping it and building super high organic matter in the soil, then whatever rain we do get will go so much further. And so maybe I can kind of replace irrigation with mulch, see how far that takes us. And they're perennials, right? So they should be able to go find it. It's not like we're growing vegetables without irrigation. So this section is the first section I planted 4 years ago. And so that's why we kind of have some older fruit trees in here, bigger fruit trees. These are low plots, and they have really good fruit on them. They fruited for the first time last year. It's incredible.